Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. I'm Ben, and up until this season, I have been riding very large, heavy, dual sport adventure motorcycles, but this season I decided to change things up, and that's why I purchased the Honda XR650L there and traded my old Gen 3 KLR for the DR650 here. Much like the KLR650s that I've ridden in the past, both of these bikes are big bore 650 singles with about 40 horsepower. And while both of them certainly are a bit of a step down as far as on-road comfort goes, mainly due to the fact that they just don't have the wind protection, they also don't weigh near as much, which on the highway isn't the best thing, but both of these bikes are incredibly highway capable. So that's why I figured they would be great bikes to turn into sort of an adventure dual sport motorcycle, something that can run 65 on the highway, no problem, but also still be incredibly comfortable to ride off-road in somewhat hairy situations because both bikes weigh 100 pounds less than my KLRs did, some of them even more than 100 pounds. Completely stock, the XR650L weighs about 350 pounds, and while the DR tops the scales at about 366, it actually feels much lighter because of its lower center of gravity, which for you guys who have been watching the build series know is exactly why I decided to lower the XR650L. And before you get too upset about that, keep in mind that Honda did leave us a little bit of extra clamping portion down below the stock position, so these triple tree clamps are dropped, meaning the front of the bike is dropped 3/4 of an inch, and with the Hemisphere off-road adjustable lowering link here set in the 1 inch of drop position, we dropped the back just about an inch, and that means that we still have over 12 inches of ground clearance, which is still more than the stock DR650 ground clearance. And if you guys missed it, I have done some extensive testing on the XR since it's been lowered, everything from pavement to single track, and it's done incredibly well. The DR650, however, I have not put that many miles on because I noticed that one of the fork seals was leaking. But since I've got that fixed up now, I decided it is finally time to get this bike and the XR out on some trails and see how both of them do right next to each other. So let's head up to my dual sport proving ground, Harrison Hills, with my dad, and we will test these bikes out on some of the best trails that I have ever ridden. And mirror problems.
A little rocky out here today.
It is. Rocky and definitely some wet gravel. Ooh, and a little wet in general. Ooh, big washout on the right here. Don't take that way. Whoa, the whole thing's not very nice. Woo. Yeah, it certainly takes a little bit more effort to get the front end off the ground, but with the bouncy suspension, it kind of helps me get it up in the air, I suppose.
Is it feeling good?
Yeah, I want to say that it feels different compared to, you know, when it was leaking and was missing a good amount of fluid, but I don't really know that it was. I don't know. Somebody was telling me that the red fluid in here must have been ATF, which, is that right? The transmission fluid, ATF? I think it is. And now I've got just regular number 10 in here.
Okay.
It does feel better. Still much softer than the XR. But I'm interested to see, after a hard day of riding, so it washed out on the way down there, if maybe I won't mind the sort of squishy plush suspension, because on the XR, I mean, if you're riding it for a short period of time, it feels great, but after a lot of miles, might not actually feel bad to have something a little more plush. So it'll be interesting to see what I can make it do. And if it messes with me a bit on the jumps that we're coming up on, and if then I am later thankful to have a softer ride, you'll have to let us know what you think of the harder ride on the XR2. We'll switch off at some point, but how do you feel on it so far? That's the first time you've ridden it with the 3/4 inch drop in the front and the 1 inch drop in the rear on camera. How do you think it feels on the trails?
Yeah, it seems a lot less radical for some reason now. I don't know why that is. It just does. When I first got on this thing, you know, maybe it's just being awkward on it, but it never really seemed to go away. That it just seemed, I don't know, I can't believe an inch of height would make that much difference, but it seems a lot more like the DR now, actually.
Yep, that is exactly what I said and what I thought too. It's amazing that an inch would make that much of a difference, but yeah, I mean, it just felt like it wanted to tip over. You know, as soon as you got it a little bit off to one side or the other, or even, you know, if you got kind of knocked off course, it just, I mean, it wasn't like it was unrideable. It wasn't like it was horrible. I mean, if you're, you know, an expert rider that wants the biggest, tallest bike you can get so you can jump logs and run motocross tracks, I mean, I think it makes sense. But honestly, I mean, I think if you like a dual sport that's just a dual sport and can do, you know, a decent amount of off-roading with pretty darn good factory suspension, I mean, it's not a half bad deal, I think, to stick $100 into a lowering kit on an XR rather than, you know, possibly, I guess, like we're going to find out today, having to upgrade the suspension. I mean, a suspension upgrade is a lot more work than just putting in that lowering link and dropping the front on the fork tubes. I mean, that was a pretty quick, easy job with very little to no mess, where a suspension upgrade, even springs, I think, I mean, are going to be a little bit of a hassle, more so than that.
And is the suspension on here considered soft or no?
No, it's pretty stiff.
Yeah, I think it's great.
And whoa, it's mucky after that puddle. It's like quicksand.
Whoa! Oh, that's going to be a good one.
You all right?
I tried to do a wheelie and something went wrong. I'm not sure what. I feel like I pulled a muscle in my hand. I tried to pull so hard to not go in the frickin' woods.
I've got a first aid kit in my my backpack, or my hydration backpack, hydration vest, whatever it is.
Oh, these trails could, I mean, they're fine, but they could use some work.
Yeah, they're a little washed out, which I suppose we've been having quite a bit of rain this year. It'll be interesting to see. I've been trying to keep my boots dry, but I've been going through a lot of these puddles because I put that, ooh, this is a soupy mess. I put that coating, whoa, that's a little deep, on the XR.
I only put 1 foot down. Did you see that?
I did. But the DR does not have any sort of coating on it, so I'm kind of gonna be doing a bit of a test to see how easy it is to wash the XR off after the day, in comparison to the DR with no coating.
Yeah, I noticed you're getting your bike muddy today.
I am. Yeah, that's the point. That's what we're testing.
Oh, I gotta figure out this wheelie thing.
Yeah, and on a new bike, it definitely takes a bit of time. And with the soft, wet ground, you really got to throw your weight onto the back tire to make sure that it's getting traction and not spinning out. Yeah, I mean, this thing feels floaty, and I guess I'm not taking it a little easy just because things are wet and mushy. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what it's like on single track, which will be coming up in a couple weeks. But I really don't mind it so far. I mean, it's just like anything, you got to get used to it. And it certainly does have some wallow. I don't know. I'm glad we brought the XR. It'll be interesting to jump on that one and see what I notice. But I don't know. I mean, of course, with the idea in mind that the suspension on here is going to provide some comfort, of course. And I certainly don't think the suspension is better on here for this type of stuff.
But just because it's not the best doesn't mean that it's not usable. And if you're trying to pick and choose between comfort and off-road ability, some people might want the little bit of a softer ride. And honestly, I don't know. I guess I got to do some more riding, but I don't mind it too much right now. Not on these trails. I'm going to be the only one that doesn't dislike the DR suspension. That's alright, I don't mind being different. I think it would help with the brake dive in the front, which would definitely be nice. The brakes on that bike certainly feel better than the ones on here. Oh, here's some rocks for you. Lots of rocks.
You can't see the dust today, but I can see the disturbance in the puddles and know you're not too far ahead of me. There you are.
There I am. Yeah, I'm squeezing the bars a little tight, but not too bad. Maybe that is some of the sloppiness that I'm trying to control and hang on to. And I certainly would not call this ideal, but I guess the last bike that I was on this trail with, riding just about as fast as I could safely, was the KLR. I think that's where I stopped right about then. And I did a little bit more hard stuff after that. Not that like it's a surprise, but with the thought in mind that a lot of people think the suspension is way too soft, it certainly handles that much better than the KLR did. Again, not that that's should be a surprise to anybody, but definitely feels a lot more flickable and a lot more dual sport than an adventure bike, which is exactly why I went to these bikes, because that's really what I like to do the majority of the time. Adventure bike certainly is nice and comfy on the road, but with all the mods that I've got on that bike and the ones that I've got planned for this one, I don't think it'll be too far off from KLR comfort.
Don't think so?
Definitely not the same, and certainly not maybe quite as planted, but I think they're going to hit a really good kind of sweet spot between really off-roadable dual sport, or a fairly off-roadable dual sport, and an adventure bike. Be pretty hard to beat, I think.
Yeah, I'm super comfortable on this bike now.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, I mean, what have we gone, like 4 miles?
Something like that, probably, yeah.
Oh, I could tell you. 11 miles. Oh, that was on the road too, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I've got just about, creeping up on 11, but a couple of those are road miles.
No, it's super well behaved.
Yeah, it really is. That really brought it in check, it seems like.
Yeah, it really does. I'm surprised they sell it the way they do.
I think they're probably just trying to go with the most intense, and that's where they ended up with. But I mean, it clearly, like, you can see on the tubes, they intend you to have the ability to drop it. I mean, that's why they put those things on there. I mean, it's not like it's an advertised feature or anything, but even the DR650 actually has something specifically in the manual about how to switch some stuff around inside of the forks, and there's a separate hole in the rear to drop the suspension pretty equally, I think. I don't know how much of a drop it is. And then they actually sell a side stand especially for the bike, a Suzuki side stand for when it's lowered. But the Suzuki sure doesn't really need it, at least I don't think. I mean, it'll be interesting to try it someday. But an XR, I mean, it just opens up the bike to so many more people, just dropping it that little bit, and makes it a heck of a lot better well behaved.
Well, it is kind of strange too that you only lowered it an inch, but all of a sudden it's so easy to touch the ground on it,
Yeah, that helps too. Really rocky and running out down the hill. Yeah, I didn't want to cut you off, but I guess I probably should have. That was a messy landing area. You were noticing my zipper pockets on my pants. I've also got vents on the sides of them too, and these have a little bit, the jersey too has like a little bit more abrasion resistance. It's like yours is like basically motocross, so they're thinking you're going to be on a track of some sort, where these are really more for like an off-road or off-track type situation. They're fairly new. Maybe I'll have to send you a link see if you want to get some yourself.
Yeah, no, I really wouldn't mind either bike.
There's still some nice things about this one. Like, I mean, I keep parroting this because everybody says it, but I almost think that I like the XR better for this reason, but it doesn't have the cush drive on it, which, if nothing else, is going to kind of help protect your drive line, essentially. Putting the wider sprocket on that to contact the spline area on the output shaft is definitely a necessity regardless of what you're going to do with it. with that done, I don't think the cush drive is really that much of an issue, other than having to change sprockets a little bit, you know, chain and sprocket more often. But you'll have to see what you think. And the cush drive on here, I think, is a little bit wore in or wore out. There's a little bit of slop in it, I've noticed, and I might want to fix that, and maybe that'll help. But I think partially the reason that I like the XR so much is because it sort of has that lack of a cush drive gives it kind of an intense feeling. It just, I don't know, it seems more responsive and playful and easier to get the front wheel up. But once I put a 14 tooth on here, maybe that won't be such a difference between them. In the climate we're in, without an oil cooler, I mean, it probably still would be a good idea to put an oil cooler on it. But I've actually had people tell me that their bikes, they've got temperature gauges in their oil, and supposedly, whoa, that was loud, threw a rock into the skid plate. Somebody said that their bike actually their XR runs cooler on the trails than it does on the highway.
Wow.
Yeah, which was kind of, but I mean, I suppose as long as you have enough airflow, I mean, that's all you need, where if you're on the highway screaming, it's going to heat it up.
You standing up at all?
Here and there. This bike is kind of nice to sit on. I think that bike, I guess that's the other thing, is if you like to sit, I think the DR, especially with my comfy seat concept seat on here, it's actually pretty nice to sit. I haven't sat on a bike on these trails this much, I think, since my Gen 2 KLR.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's really, even with the rocks, it's really not too bad. It's almost kind of nice.
I completely forgot until just now about standing up. I just never felt the need.
Oh, and you've been doing okay on that, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I did now, and it might help a little bit, but...
Yeah, it depends on the terrain. Logging operations ahead. Whoa, puddle. Oh yeah, I'm logging this thing.
Oh.
Ooh, that looks like some rain. I wonder if we should hurry up. Which way's north?
North is the way I'm pointing.
Yeah, so I bet that's coming this way, isn't it?
Oh. Well. Oh, that's going up. What the? You see this?
The clouds are going up?
Yes.
Oh, that does look that way, doesn't it?
They're
That's
getting
weird.
smaller. Wonder what that means. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
No, that is strange, isn't it?
They just keep getting smaller, or I'm losing my mind.
No, it does seem that way.
Wow.
Maybe they're just shrinking? Oh, I think it's just disappearing. Maybe, I don't know. That is strange. Yeah, that storm doesn't look too great, though. We probably should get a move on. Oh, that's muddy. Oh yeah, we're also testing that's the first time you've been on those Waypoint tires too. Oh wow, this is soupy. Yikes. Caution ahead.
Whoa!
Yeah, this is awful.
Oh!
I'm gonna have some cleaning to do.
Oh! Just I was gonna say, I gotta put my feet up. I put my feet up, and I almost fell over. That was bad. Very bad. Oh, well, I think that's over. We got dirt again. It's getting darker.
It is, yeah. Yeah, we're heading into the storm.
Well, just remember, it's only super cold rain until your clothes start to warm it up, and then it's not as bad.
That's true, yeah.
Remember kayaking that time?
Oh yeah.
It was just like, oh, this is so freaking cold. How are we gonna get home? I can't live like this, you know? And then your clothes warmed up the rain, and it was fine. Kind of like a wetsuit.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this bike.
Yeah, good. I do too. I like the DR. I'm having a good time on it.
The DR, I think, is better on the road.
Because of the
Vibration.
vibrations, yeah.
Hey! Got back on that seat, and that puppy came right up. I gotta go get that one at Tomahawk.
The DR?
Yeah. These are just too much fun.
They really are a good time. Whoa! Right through the middle. I kind of don't mind the taller taller first on here without the 14 tooth, really. But I actually kind of like running in both first and second with the 14 tooth on there. I'll still switch it over on here either way just to see. Woo! Whoa! That kind of bucked me. I guess that must have, that might have happened no matter what. Head for suspension. Woo! Whoa! Some good jumps there.
Yeah, pulled the wheelie up. 2 wheelies across ponds. I'm getting her, I'm getting her.
Ooh, I never did check to see that my camera was still recording audio. Oh, I hope it is.
Woo! I put the front tire over 3 puddles.
Oh, nice.
3. Yeah, this bike gives you probably a little bit too much confidence. Other than getting it in neutral, I have no confidence in getting this bike in neutral.
Yeah, I always kind of had a hard time with it to begin with, and I figured it out eventually.
You end up going down to get it.
Yeah.
Coming up doesn't work.
Yeah, it's kind of finicky. I don't remember what I've been doing to make it work, honestly. I don't know. So you're liking the XR, huh?
I really like it. Like I say, I've got too much confidence on this thing right now.
Nice.
Perfect.
All right. Well, let's see what you think of the DR.
Oh, that's right. We got to switch. Yeah, I was totally confident. You'd get ahead of me a little bit, and I'd just like, gonna catch up.
Yeah, they are fun machines. I like these too.
And you've got the same pocket, huh?
Yes. Yeah, you should be able to stick it in.
I gotta order these. Maybe I'll order one tonight.
A tank bag? Yeah, they're hard to ride without after you get used to having one. So that one definitely is going to be squishier. I guess I shouldn't have said anything, but don't hurt yourself, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's gonna be a little different, but you'll have to tell us what you think. Don't listen to me, I guess.
Oh my God, that thing was so much fun today.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad we did this instead of changing your other Tenere tire.
Yeah, this is funner.
It is.
Want these? Do that in the middle of winter. Oh yeah.
I still gotta get the 2-track tires reviewed yet, but we'll get to that. Boy, yeah, this seat even feels so much different, doesn't it?
Yeah, wider?
Yeah, wider and not as kind of rounded and soft. Yeah, I gotta remember what I'm on now too. Oh boy, yeah, the foot pegs feel so much higher on this one.
It's bizarre. You get on one and it's like you don't even know how to ride a motorcycle anymore.
Yeah, this thing feels so weird. Wow. Definitely still much taller, but also much easier to wheelie.
Easier to wheelie?
Yeah, partially because of the 14 tooth sprocket, I think.
Yeah, front end won't come up.
Definitely is a lot more work on that one for sure.
Woo!
Oh, yikes, this is all kind of rough here.
Whoa!
Oh, and there's a stream running through the trail. This one you kind of just gotta, do the bounce and lean back and it pretty much comes up, where, yeah, the DR, you really gotta throw your weight into that rear tire.
Oh, to get it to come up?
Yeah. Whoa, really sketchy up here.
Oh!
Yeah, I guess I'm not feeling necessarily beat up on this. I guess we just really haven't been riding all that long either, but I don't know. The suspension certainly is different.
I gotta say, I'm getting used to this again. I think I like the XL better.
Really? I'm surprised to hear that. That's interesting.
Does that thing got a little bit more pep to it?
They both have about the same horsepower and torque. On the dyno, they're like within a couple horsepower of each other. Both right around 35-ish.
Oh, maybe I'm not giving this one enough gas, really. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it does take a little bit to wind that up. And I think the XR just from the factory is just a little peppier, like you said. But the XR, and everybody's going to be upset about this now, that, or the, sorry, the DR really needs to be desnorkeled and to have at least something done with the carburetor, and then it really makes, I mean, I think it makes it pretty close to this bike, but we'll see, because I'm going to do that, so it'll be interesting to see how that changes it. I'm going to do all the adventure and comfort mods first, and then once both bikes are all kind of loaded down with gear and, you know, all the weight that I'm going to add to them, then I'll do performance stuff.
Just hitting the throttle a little harder. I think maybe that one is just set up different with the throttle and everything.
Yeah, the throttle and probably the 14-tooth sprocket, I'm sure, throws you off a little bit. Oh man, just a beautiful day for a ride today, huh?
Perfect.
Ooh, it's muddy. Gonna be pouring rain in probably half an hour though.
Oh, well. Maybe not.
We should be out of here by then, I think. Yeah, I mean, this bike definitely feels much more planted and much more controllable, and I think just from a traction standpoint, it probably makes much more sense to have this bike on these type of trails. But I mean, there is no reason you can't do them with the DR. I mean, I had the most fun that I've had on that bike yet today. I mean, it's certainly a blast, even as it is.
Yeah.
And if you like it a little more comfy, I don't really think there's anything wrong with leaving that suspension the way it is. I'm gonna see how much it throws me off. Oh, there's a chipmunk on the trail. Eating a June bug.
Was it really?
I think so. If you're somebody that spends more time on your seat when you're riding, I think the DR probably stock makes more sense and is probably okay as is. If you're somebody that is up on the pegs a lot and you don't mind feeling the bumps a little bit more, then I think lowering an XR is definitely a good option. Maybe not a better option, you know, depending on what you like and what your intentions are. All depends on you and, you know, your personality and riding and the terrain you ride on, that sort of thing. But I think either one are a darn good option. And I think just the fact that I now know that you can lower one of these and actually make it ride better, for me, I don't, you know, whatever, if somebody else doesn't think that that's the case, that's up to them, don't lower it. For me, and it seems like for you too, I think dropping this bike really brings it, you know, within reach and makes it a lot more dual sport style riding friendly. And I'm interested to see how single track differs on the two, on that one versus this one, but I don't know, I did not mind that suspension today, not near as much as I thought I would.
Yeah, that's one modification that really needed to be done.
The lowering it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think more so, honestly, I mean, for us anyways, and what we like, I think lowering this bike is probably more important, at least so far, without any single track testing, lowering this is more important than upgrading the DR suspension, which is not something that I would have guessed. I would have thought it was the other way with the way everybody talks. And I'm sure upgrading the suspension of the DR is going to make that bike so much better, but not better for everybody, I don't think, you know?
Yeah.
Just depends what you want. But you can slap a set of springs in the front of it for right around 170 bucks, I think.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and I think that might be my first step, and then maybe I'll look at emulators after that, which is just kind of messes with the valving. Springs will just be a little bit stiffer, so they won't hopefully dive as much when you hit the brakes, because that is one thing that this bike, I think, certainly outperforms that bike in, is braking, partially because of the suspension, I assume. Yeah, I don't know, and it's not like this bike is uncomfortable, it's just slightly more harsh.
Wow, this is really nice if we'd slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
But we won't. It really is cool. Look around you, man.
Oh, it is. It's a beautiful day, yeah. I love being out right after it rains. Now the real test. We got maybe a half a mile left.
Yeah.
Let's switch one more time.
Switch back?
Yeah.
You got them both dirty today. About time. Zigzagging around puddles. I did learn to pull the front end off of that one I was getting there on every puddle.
Yeah? Good. Are the bars higher on that one? They must be. Right? I don't know, the whole ergonomics are so different. It's like the seat, the pegs, and the bars are all in very different locations.
Yeah, they really are. You sit completely different.
Yeah. Okay, so you probably didn't notice it, but these foot pegs on here are rubber isolated. Did you pick up on that at all? Or
No,
not?
I did not.
I never remember it. Like on the KLR, the Gen 3, it drove me nuts. On here, I never even think about it. It like does not bother me. I don't know if they just did a better job of it. They still sag, but not bad enough.
I swear, it takes me longer than it should to adapt to bikes.
Woo! Oh, family of deer.
Okay, I'm getting there. Yep, I'm there. Yeah, I like this one better.
It is a fun bike, and that's where like I always have a hard time kind of putting my finger on what exactly it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is just something about that bike that I like. I think once this bike has stiffer suspension, I think it will. I think that's probably what you're noticing, even if you don't realize it, would be my guess. But there is something that I like a little bit more about the ergonomics of that one. The seat, yeah, the seat and the pegs. I don't even know what it is. It just
because it's the seat and the pegs and the handlebars. 3 minutes and all of a sudden you're right back to where you were. Yeah. Yeah, that was fantastic though.
Good.
I'd be happy with either one, and since that's the only one on the marketplace, then maybe let's be the one bye-bye.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say too, is that I think, as much as I don't think it's fair to say that these are subtle differences, you got to leave that on if we're going to talk though. As much as I think it's unfair to say that the differences are subtle, I think that's almost the right word for it, but not quite. Like they certainly do have their differences.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's not nearly enough that I would say that this is so much better of a bike or that one is so much better of a bike. I think they would feel more similar with a more off-road oriented suspension and a 14-tooth sprocket, which is some of that is just kind of not fair. I think maybe that's partially why you're having so much fun in this one too. So it'll be interesting to see once that has a 14-tooth on it. We'll have to come back and test them again. But with little changes, I think they will be pretty darn similar. But even as exactly as they are, they're both amazing bikes. And
yeah, I love riding them.
some of my favorite motorcycles so far. I'm so happy that I ended up with these two.
Yeah.
They are a blast.
It's kind of hard to think about keeping the adventure bike if you're not going on an adventure somewhere, But like riding into these trails, definitely the 10RA is more fun, I think, than these are.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and that's where, like, on a day like today, I probably would be not, if we were on adventure bikes, I probably would not want to be taking the trailer. But at the same time, it's so nice to be able to really just get on these and, put as many off-road miles on as we want, ride them hard, and still know that if we wanted to, you could also load them up with gear and take them on a 55, 60 mile an hour adventure, and still enjoy the heck out of them around the corners and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends on how long you plan on being on the road and how much road performance is important to you. But yeah, I mean, for dual sport, I think these are the most dual sport motorcycles out there, because you can ride them around the corners at 60 miles an hour, or a little bit faster and enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not sport bike power, but it's still enjoyable. They have just enough power.
Don't think I ever took the XR on much of a road trip, but I took the DR that time out by Langlade, and that was just a blast on those curvy roads. I didn't need a inline four, this thing was great, it's got decent acceleration, and it was fun as.
Yeah, they really are. They're cool bikes. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this was interesting and helpful to you. If it was, give us a like button. Let us know down in the comments. Get out and enjoy this beautiful world any chance you get. If you can't do that right now, here's some more videos to check out. In the meantime, I don't know, what am I saying here? I forgot. I got off track now. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care, stay safe, stay swanky. Get out and enjoy this beautiful world any chance you get. If you can't do that right now, here's some more videos to check out. In the meantime, we'll catch you on the next one.